in third person, while now that Sam is dead, it's written in first person.
We can see proof of this in the eggs Johnny had eaten. Johnny felt guilty, but then in My Brother Sam is Dead, we see I lived my ordinary life, and whenever I could, I ducked out. That's all for our differences. Now, let's go to the book talk. Well, first of all, let's start with My Brother Sam is Dead. So, in my opinion, My Brother Sam is Dead is a very easy book to read because of the language it uses. Like we said earlier, it uses more modern times so you can understand it better. Yes.
Oh yeah. It's also really slow.
It can be slow, especially during when Tim and his father take the cattle. That part was written a little slow, so I would just have it wrote in less words.
Now, I don't like the title because the author just said yeet with the title because it just gives away the ending of the book because Sam dies at the end.
See, my problem was reading the whole book, I was just waiting for Sam to die. And I would rather be surprised by his death because I feel like it would add more emotion. And when you have better emotion in a book, then it makes me like the book better. And
third time's the charm, folks. Now let's talk about the characters in this book right here. Megan.
Okay, so one thing I did like is that the characters were different and they weren't all pretty much the same. We can see the history of their feelings. Like we've always known that Tim wants to be like Sam. I just wish they would have went more in detail why father didn't want war, and also we could see a little bit more about mother. Another thing I did not like about this book is that we never see Tim pick a side in the war, because you see him struggling with this the whole time, but you never really see him pick. You see him think war is bad after it gets started, but we would like to see him pick a side.
Epilogue.
That is one thing I liked about the book, because you got to see how Tim lived his life after Sam died, because he's always looked up to Sam the whole journey. And so when we get to see just a little bit of his afterlife when Sam's dead was one thing I enjoyed a lot.
Alright, now we're moving on to Johnny Tremaine. Alright, now, Megan, was it easy to read Johnny Tremaine?
No, because they wrote it more in the time period like we said earlier, and so you really had to dissect and think about this book and what it was meaning, especially the birth and death room. The symbolism also made it hard to understand this book too.
This book, thank goodness, does not have an epilogue in it.
That is one thing I did not like about this book, because I wanted to see how Johnny and Scylla would end, because we still don't know anything about Scylla. And then also we don't know how Johnny's going to live without Rab, how his hand's going to go, because, you know, Dr. Warrant was going to try to fix it, if he'll ever be a silversmith again. I just had a lot of questions by the end of this book that never got answered, and that kind of upset me, because I just read this whole book to still have questions at the end of it. Now let's talk about the characters in Johnny Tremaine. Jack, how do you feel about the characters in Johnny Tremaine? Did you think they were different? Did you think they were all the same?
No, each character had her own little special thing about it. You know, whether it be Rab with his humbleness or Johnny with his pride, you know, two foil characters.
One thing, though, that is true. All the characters had their own personalities, which I appreciate. But one thing I did not like is that you would just have filler characters who were only used for a certain time period, maybe to help out Johnny. Like Miss Bess, she wasn't really important until Johnny really needed her help. Another thing I like in a book personally is character development, because if the character stays the same, it's kind of just pointless. But on this journey, we see Johnny become more grown up, less prideful, better at decision making, and so he seems more real because people in real life grow and develop, and so did Johnny, so it made this book come to life more. Okay, so overall, Johnny Tremaine is an average book, 3 out of 5 stars. It was a little slow at times and hard to understand, and you had to really think about it. But I liked the character development, the characters, and the plot, and the way it showed you the American Revolution. So overall, recommend if you're learning about the American Revolution in history.
Take 7.
Thank you for joining us for Book versus Book. Jack, which book did you like more? My Brother Sam is Dead or Johnny Tremaine? Personally, I liked My Brother Sam is Dead better.